back into lockdown. In India, we've extended our lockdown in Mumbai. We are here at home till 31st August. So, we have to keep ourselves sane whilst we are staying at home. And to do that, I have a guest every Sunday to chat with me about how they are coping, what they are doing, and, inspire all of us. So today with me, I have Mansi Zaveri, who is the founder of KidsStopPress. Good evening, Mansi. How are you doing today?
Very well, very well.
So, Mansi, how's COVID-19 treating you?
It's very strange that you asked me this question, because just this afternoon, as we were snuggling with the kids, and my husband and me were discussing how have these last 4 months been, and we've we watched a lot of movies with our kids, and really fun movies, and we were actually repeating dialogues from those movies, which the kids found really funny. While we're comparing, or kind of discussing everybody's bucket list and what did they achieve, because we saw a movie called Bucket List, and we're saying, okay, somebody read a lot. We all actually read a lot in this lockdown. We all worked a lot. We all achieved our fitness goals that we set out to. So we all, I feel like COVID was that, for a lot of people, it was time to stop, reflect, or pause, reflect, and kind of do things differently. Honestly, for us as a family, we didn't really have the time to pause, because there was no house help. From a work perspective, both me and my husband had to rethink, how we're going to run our businesses, and we're leaders of our team, so we had to literally be in the driver's position, driving and steering the way along. Kids jumped into online education, so we were navigating that along the way. So we are perhaps, pausing a little now to look back and say that how did we cope through all of this as a family, right? It's actually been for us a lot of strength, thriving of each other, because everybody chipped in and did their bit, and we're like, wow, in all of this work also, we managed to create so many memories. So I think in many ways it was very enriching, and when we look back, we didn't do too much, but we did so much.
I'm glad. And, yesterday I hosted TEDx Varsova, and Kiran Manral gave a TED talk on embracing boredom. And she said in her talk, everybody is learning new skills. They are putting out all these fantastic cooking recipes, and, all the pictures of the Dalgona coffee, etc. But she says, I've just taken a pause. I'm just recovering. And, so I'm glad to hear that even you, just relaxed with your family, spend that quality time with your kids, which is hard to do when we are part of a busy schedule, isn't it?
Absolutely. Strange that you say that everybody was so busy whipping up so many things, because we were thrown at the deep end with absolutely no house help. And I mean like zero house help. Me and the kids revived this thing of reviving grandmom's recipes, right? So we couldn't go and see my parents at all, and we were craving food from Nani's house. So I have actually now compiled, Elsa, a book of all of my mom's recipes in an audio format. And I cannot tell you the joy each time I make those recipes, because one, I feel like those are heirloom recipes which are worth more than the best cookbook in the world. And my kids were part of it. So in many ways, it felt like the treasure is passing on, and the joy when they eat with as much as much love, and those fond memories that I have of that dish growing up as a child. And when I see that reflect in my child's eyes, I cannot tell you, it's a different joy. Like, they've told me that, Mom, you're the world's best cook, and this and that, you did so. And the fact is, I'm just about an amateur cook, but just reviving my mom's, reviving our family recipes, and then sharing it with, I'm one of 4 sisters, and just sharing it with the sisters and say, guys, hey, we have a project. And my parents are pretty old. My mom's about 79, and we're like, we have to do this, right? We have to create a treasure bank of mom's recipes, and we're all on the project. And if not for this lockdown, it wouldn't have happened. So I'm just very, very glad about it.
That's great that you shared that. And, in one of my other groups, this lady said that she's reconnected with her school friends, and they decide on one recipe a week, and each of them, uh, at their own pace during the week, go and cook that dish and then post it on the group with the pictures and with whatever memories and the current family arrangement that's appreciating that cooked dish. And she says that has brought them all closer. So this, certainly we all have congregated and convened over food, and food has that power to bring people together. So I'm glad that your family also did that. And at least you would have come out of this pandemic with your mom's recipes all in
Oh,
one place.
absolutely. And the days when my kids said, "Mom, this is as good as Nani's," or you were like, okay, I'd give them a scale of 1 to 10. How close is it to Nani's recipe? And I must say and confess, I fared anywhere between a 5 to as close as a 9, which I think is fabulous, because Nani's food is like a different level of benchmark. So to get there is dreams.
So tell us about KidsStopPress. When did you start it and why?
Um, you know, it's very strange the way I started it, because I used to work at Metro, and this is way back in 2008 and 9, 2009 actually. I used to work at Metro. My home used to be at Worli Seaface, and until then, I never quit. I had my daughter in about 2008. Continued to have. Before that, I had a career in marketing and communications for over 15, 16 years, and somehow else I could not. When in 2008, when the Lehman crash happened, and I had my daughter in November, I couldn't. I literally needed to go back. Like, my maternity leave of having this dream maternity leave for 3 months did not happen. 26/11 happened, and 28/11 was my daughter's birthday, and I was working till the 25th of November, and that's that one day I didn't go to work because I just felt like something's not right, and it was 26/11. So, literally in 15 days after the attack and 15 days into delivery, I had to get back to work because the crash happened. My company laid off from a staff of about 150 people just to about 30 odd people. My husband was studying. We were on a student loan. So I said, I was the working member in the family, and I had to go back. And I continued to work for at least my daughter was 2.5, because I never wanted to quit, blaming her that, listen, I quit my job because of you, or because I had to raise you. And I worked odd hours. Like, I'd get to work at 8, I'd come back by 4:30, so I'd miss traffic and things like that. But there was just no way of me knowing what's happening in the city, or what should I do with my kids, or where do I go? Or, the other parents didn't really warm up as well, because largely conversations were happening over BlackBerry Messenger, or outside schools, or outside parks and things like that. And I wasn't there, right? Because I was a full-time working mom, and sometimes meetings would go on till 6, 7, 8, and you'd miss out on so many aspects of it. And I said, once I was driving from Marine Lines to from Metro to Worli, and I was on my phone all the time, and I didn't even look up once. And that was a moment when it said that, listen, if increasingly the all of us are going to spend about 60 to 70% of our waking up time in front of this digital device, why are we not communicating to parents in this form? Right? So that was flash one. That was the whisper. And I always believe life whispers these little things to you. And in fact, I was listening this on Oprah's podcast yesterday, that there are these little whispers, then they become loud sounds, until you until it shakes you up and you react, right? That if you actually heard the whispers, they're always right. They always guide you in the right direction. And then 3 months later, my sister said, "Hey, I'm moving out of the US. Why don't you come for 6 months?" I said, "Okay." My daughter was about 2.5, and I said, okay. So I told my husband, "Listen, we need to go." And I told my boss, "I need to take a 6-month break." And I went, and this was about 2011. I traveled with 6 months with my sister and her daughter, and we traveled every city we would go. We would just plan what to do. We had no plan. Imagine me with like a 2.5-year-old and she with a 3.5-year-old, and we just traveled. And I was like, wow, it's so easy to travel like this, go strawberry picking in the farms, figure out where things are happening. Why can't I take this back to India? I came back after 6 months, quit my job, and I said I need to start KidsStopPress because this is what's going to be that one space that's going to bring all of this together. I invested about, I think, $10,000. I designed my own logo. I had enough and more know-how in the digital space and setting up influencer marketing. How does the program work? Setting up the back end, figuring out WordPress, everything. I just literally designed my first wireframe and everything. I just put together, bought a computer, and that's it. It literally started in in late, about mid 2012. 8th August is my daughter's birthday, and I don't remember the other date very distinctly when I started. And that's it. So I think it's somewhere between 7th or 8th August that I started. And I remember before I was entering the delivery room of my second one, I said, telling my husband, okay, let me finish this, let me schedule this, because I was a one-man team. He's like, dude, do you get it? You are in labor. You need to go to the hospital. I said, yeah, but I don't know what's going to happen. Let me just share this and schedule this so it's all okay. And we joke about it now. But that's literally the journey. So those two moments very distinctly, my trip to the US and that drive from Metro Theatre to Worli Seaface, where I had cut off the rest of the world. So no billboard spoke to me, no print ad spoke to me, no radio spoke to me, nothing. I was consumed by this one device for about an hour, and I was like, this is going to be our future. And this was way back in 2011. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's truly that, you get these little niggling doubts, not necessarily doubts, but whispers, like you say, and then they become louder. And then, you're suddenly shaken out of your slumber and you have to do something. Yeah, that happened to me too around the same time in 2012 when, at the time I was working with Kingfisher Airlines, and Kingfisher, as you know, went through a financial downturn and eventually shut. But I had been having these little moments of, what next, because I'd already spent, over 18, 19 years in the aviation industry. And I had reached a saturation point. I wanted to give back, but I didn't know how. I wanted to do something completely different and at my own pace and time. And then, everything came together. So, yeah, you're right.
And I completely hear you when you say that, because I come from a family where all my sisters, me, we're all double postgrads, we're all in fabulous jobs, etc. And my parents, though my dad is from the business side, my mom always said, you are in such a fabulous, secure position. All friends said that, you're in the fashion space, dude, your job is so cool and stuff like that. And that was actually the time a lot of international retailers were coming into the country, right? So your Inditex Zara was coming in, H&M, there were hustles and rumors that they're coming in, though they came in much later. There was just so much happening in that time that everybody told me, listen, you're in the thick of things, you will get a job like this, you will move from head of marketing to VP and then director and all of that. But Elsa, I think it just happens when you know what you want to do. All the noise kind of is something that your brain just cuts away, right? And you start moving into that energy which is your calling. I truly believe in this, that your those whispers just guide you to where you belong.
Great. And now you are India's topmost parenting blogger.
Yeah.
So what can you share for people who are not familiar with KidsStopPress? What exactly is the content about? Because I think you're still ahead of the curve in many ways, probably.
Yeah. So I'm glad you feel like that. but let me give you a little background on what KidsStopPress is, right? So KidsStopPress is a trusted discovery platform for parents through every single milestone of their life. Whether you're looking at starting a family, whether you are pregnant, whether you're looking at the first 2 years of your child's life, whether you're looking at your toddler years, preschool years, all the way up to 8 or 9 years of your child's life, through every single aspect, whether it's weaning, baby care, fashion, your mental well-being as a parent, as a mother, whether it's nutrition, fitness, food, because food is, I cannot even tell you, it's an Indian mom's obsession. Whether you're 4 days old, you're 40 days old, or you're 40 years old, your mom will still ask you, Beta, aaj kya khaya? Are you eating enough? Arey, tum bahut patli lag rahi ho. That's just the way we're built, right? So food is a very, very important aspect. And then what we did was all of these questions that parents want to ask. I realized that when I was raising my elder one, I was like, the only place I'd go to was a baby center, and I was like, this is so alien because the cultural, physical, social fabric landscape is so different. I don't feed my child applesauce when my child is born. For us, it is that dal ka pani, and it is that the first spoon has to be given by the grandmothers. We don't feed our kids in melamine. There is a reason why the chandi ka bartan or the chandi thali is given to you, right? Because chandi is actually, or silver is actually good for your child. So there's so many of these beautiful cultural things that are woven in, which as a generation, we're sandwiched between knowing it from our parents and passing it on to our children and actually practicing it for our children, right? And I wanted these things to be passed on. And that's exactly what we do. I kind of remained a hybrid between a influencer stroke blogger and a platform, because I feel parenting is a very personal, intimate journey. And one of the biggest consumer insights that I had when I did research on KidsStopPress and when we were starting out was that a parent trusts nobody but another parent when it comes to their child, right? So if there is a healthline.wd or whatever, and if there's a Mansi Zaveri talking, they will pick me or they will pick you on whatever conversation point it is, right? Because it's just somebody's personal journey. And as we move closer to this virtually existent world, we are craving human interaction. We are craving for somebody else's story. Look at the way social media is exploding, right? You want to watch more videos. You want to see more into somebody. You've literally reached somebody's bedroom now, right? With that desk and that beautiful picture and the moon and the music playing and the lights and lamps lit. So people want to live somebody else's life. So if that is the truth, then that's what KidsStopPress provides you, right? A personal journey of a parent, whether it's raising special children, whether it's, right, I'm just giving a couple of instances of the stories we've done in the last 4 months, whether it's about a COVID survivor and how she did it with 2 kids, 3 and 6, with both her and her husband being tested positive the same night, whether it is about a specially able child and raising one when your partner falls victim to COVID, or whether it is about how to be fit or how not to lose your shit on your kids, or it's about screen time, or it's about online education, or it's wondering how many hours should I have online school, should I not have online school, should I be paying my school fees, why should I be paying my school fees, to what are the movies I can watch with my kids, right? It literally encompasses everything. To even a woman who's pregnant during COVID, and how did she manage to keep her head sane with so much negativity. Now we've taken all of this and we've just built it across different mediums and touch points for the consumer. So it could be a podcast for somebody, which we now have on JioSaavn or on Apple and Spotify, or it could be through written content if you're still a sucker for long form content, or it could be through social media, or it could be through videos, right? We create over 300 to 400 social natives every single month for Instagram, and we add this layer of fun into our social posts every morning at 9 a.m. We post a funny thing, right? Like, out of all the things to play with, why do my kids need to play with my patients? Or I think like parenting is like a walk in the park, but Jurassic Park, right? So we add a lot of these fun things in the morning, because we're like, listen, the point is we're all in the same boat. Let's just have fun along the way.
But the reality is that it's hard on the kids and it's hard on the parents. So First, let's talk about the kids. I don't have kids of my own, but I have three nieces, and two of them are in Singapore, one is in Melbourne. And it's really, really hard in the lockdown scenario because your parents are working, you don't have another sibling, you can't meet your friends, and they live in houses, and houses you don't have your neighbor who you can run into and go and play with. So, what advice would you give for parents regarding their children?
Elsa, it's very strange that when you were talking, or they live in houses, and I was thinking our next sentence is going to be, it's so much easier because they have the whole house to play versus living in Bombay where you're confined to, like at best 100, 800 to 1,000 square feet house, right? But you said they don't have neighbors, and I was like, wow, I didn't even think that human connection would be their problem, right? And here we're like, oh God, we're stuck in this 800, 2,000 square feet house, and what do we do and whatever, right? So everywhere you're always unhappy. That's the underlying fact. But no, you know what happened? I'll tell you what we did. As soon as the lockdown happened, and this was somewhere around the 12th of 13th of March, we kind of started speaking to our kids a lot. Not a lot, but listen, guys, we started warming them up that this is gonna happen. Okay. And they could see that because their school was, they were supposed to go for a spring break, and school shut down earlier than expected. I started migrating people I started migrating my office into home. My husband started doing that. And kids, I feel, are extremely intuitive. Like their intuitive power is way higher than ours, right? Because we are bound by fear, or actually plagued by fear, but kids are not. So I just felt that they kind of started absorbing that. However, we ensured that we always kept communication channels open for them. We created structures in a way that they knew what they were supposed to do when my husband and me were at work. They knew our schedules, Elsa. Like they literally, like their iPad and our phone calendars, we all family as family, we have a synced calendar. So they knew that, okay, mom's in a recording right now, or she's in a meeting, or she's on a call, or this is dad's schedule. People throw tantrums or react out of control when they feel out of control. We didn't give them that opportunity because they always knew that, hey, 11 to 12, she's just working, she's not on a call, so I can just go come, hey, mom, and do that, right? So, and it's very important that time that you may be extremely busy, but you don't say, okay, I'm in something busy, just go away, just go away, just go away, right? But yes, there were times when I had scheduled for something that I needed to think through or whatever, and I put that as thinking time and do the ND, do not disturb. So I think that really, really helped. What we'd also do is we plan their day of what they were supposed to do the night before. We kept those things out. So they were supposed to play some games. As a family, we'd pick, okay, do you want to play this tomorrow? Do you want to play this? Okay, I think you should play this. And it was kept out the night before. So all they had to do in the morning was wake up and play, right? And I must say, having two kids helped a lot. It really helped a lot. And now I understand when my mom says, Kare, I don't know how you guys were raised because, we were in a joint family and everybody was just playing and doing their own thing. So I don't know. So now when my mom says that, Kare, tum kaise bade ho gaye? I don't know. I get that. Because, parenting is not to be on their backs all the time. Even if they were watching TV, they knew that, listen, I always tell my kids, I trust you. And I think these words make so much sense to the children. I would tell them, okay, they were watching TV in our absence. Of course, the show is approved. I would tell them, Anya, I trust you that after this episode, you will shut the TV. I'm telling you, Elsa, it works like magic. They would just shut it. When you constantly tell them, Arey, abhi tak nahi shut kiya hai, what are you doing? You don't understand this. Your obvious intent is to react like that. But when you trust them, when you speak to like that, it made the world of a difference. And they didn't just have the time to also just be idle because they were doing the laundry, they were doing the dishes, they were dusting, they were brooming, they were sweeping, they were chopping. They're so empathetic that if Papa and me were like in the middle of something and we've not had our chai or something, they'll actually come and serve tea, serve water. And that continues. And people who follow me on my Instagram, they actually say, how did you do it? And I said, because I don't know. It just comes out of mutual respect for each other, right? My daughter's been taking doodling classes for younger children. So when she's taking her doodling classes and they're back to back, I kind of reciprocate it the same way. So I think it was just much easier when we kept the communication channels open, and also knowing what time is theirs. Don't take that away from them. Like, they know that she will shut the laptop at 6, and then 6 to 9:30 she's ours. I don't even reach out for my phone that time. I don't take any calls, I don't do any meetings. If I need to, I'll tell the client, listen, I have to do it only after 9:30 if it's absolutely urgent. But knowing that that belongs to them makes a world of difference. And as far as you live by your promise, I think it really helped us as a family.
You've given a lot of great points over there. One is being consistent, with your own schedule so that they respect that, yes, and they trust you that you will, finish at this time because you set a consistent routine for yourself and for them. And the other is also communicating, not shutting down the communication channels, which is so important, and involving them in the housework, because everybody's complaining that women are working for home, from home, at home. And I think they need to have those conversations with the people in the home to say, look, I can only do so much and you need to pitch in as well. So other than that, what are the tips for parents? What would you recommend to parents out there, because they are struggling also?
Yeah, and it's okay to struggle. I must also say this, that, and while you were mentioning earlier, Elsa, I am raising two daughters, and I was doubly conscious that my girls are watching this, right? Because all of us are in the house, me, my husband, my mother-in-law, and my girls, that they don't need to think that, listen, work is only done by daddy and mom. If my husband got a little lazy someday, he would get it. And I say this on this live, though he really helped in every single aspect. And actually we bonded, and I've actually shared this on my Instagram, that date nights or a husband helping you with the dishes, any day is far more romantic, right? So I was very conscious that my girls are watching this, right? I want them to, I kind of took it upon myself to let them know it's not your job alone, right? Because tomorrow they're going to have families of their own, and they should know what's right and what's wrong. And when some things are not right, you ask for it to be corrected, right? So that was one. And I think what you said and the way you summed it up was brilliant. We stuck to our routine. There was zero deviation. So whether it was waking up in the morning, all five of us working out or exercising, the kids would do it with us. And then we all meditate together, because my kids and me meditate together. So I'll call them in the last 5 minutes or whatever. And doing that every single day helped. They also know that, listen, if you don't let her exercise, she's going to be out of control. You're not going to be able to manage mom. So they would say, hey, why don't you finish exercising first? So they knew what was my priority. I broke down in front of them. I've cried. They've cried. We've all had our meltdowns, right? My husband and me have fought. My mother-in-law and me have fought, but fought in a nicer, in the spirit, right? And it's okay, because I don't want them to think, or me to carry that weight of another cape called a superhuman. No, I want them to know that it's okay to break down. It's okay to have meltdowns, and it's okay to say out loud and clear what your expectations are of the other person. So if my expectation is that I need to exercise and pray each day, it's okay. Go ahead and do it. What brings joy to you, go ahead and do it. And I think communication is the key to all problems. So parents who are not communicating with their kids, I think just do that, because, and I always tell this to parents that, especially the younger ones, who said, "Oh, my life has changed, or I just don't get time for myself." I said, please make time for yourself, because happier women make happier moms, right? Um, and I always tell them that, if you don't communicate your expectations, you're just like bottling it up, which kind of comes out in the wrong way. So I think the biggest message for all the parents is just communicate. And also, your kids are not going to be little always, right? So if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to make time for them later, they may not make time for you later, right? Like I can also already see that, Elsa. My kids are 7 and 11, and I'm holding on that thread between my 11-year-old and me very strongly, uh, because I know that she may not need me in 4 or 5 years. She's going to be ready. I'm not, right? So I think it's a very mixed this thing, right? And then I know parents whose kids are 12 and 13 and say, listen, my kids don't even talk to me. Were you there when they wanted to talk to you, right? So why those expectations? It's always a two-way street. So I think communication is such an important message. And I never, from the time my kids were born, I never changed anything about my life. So whether it was exercising, whether it was continuing to work, whether it was us, even the way we travel, people always say, oh, where are the child friendly destinations or whatever. I said there are no child friendly destinations. There's a holiday and you make it child friendly, right? Because kids, you don't, our parents didn't pick child friendly destinations or whatever, right? So I always feel that you just make it comfortable like that, right? You figure out what you want to do. But if you're going to, hypothetically, if you're going to going to Assam and you don't go to a tea estate, now what's so exciting about a tea estate for a child? But if you're going to Assam and you're not going to see a tea estate, then boom, you're never going to go back there again to see it, right? So your child needs to know about it. Maybe he'll not comprehend it so much at 2 or 3, but at 4 or 5, he will be able to. So it's just a progress.
Another important point that you actually touched upon is that, when you said children are like a blank slate, but the parents, they give out the vibes of fear, of anger, anxiety, and the children absorb that. So, as parents, they should be a little more mindful about
Yeah.
how they are approaching a situation. And, children are going to model behavior based on that.
Yeah. But I must say something there, that my daughter once, when the news got a lot in the US, or early part of April, Elsa, where everything was unknown, right? My
Hmm.
daughter actually asked me when I was doing a live, and one of the doctors, when we were talking about mental health for children, one of the doctors said that one of my patients asked me that my daughter says, are we all going to die? And my daughter actually heard that, and she asked me that night over bedtime that, Mom, are we all going to die? I said, the fear of the unknown can only kill you, but what is in you, you cannot control everything, but you can control everything about yourself. So let's do our bit. Let's eat right. Let's rest well, and let's be fit. Right. That's in our control. The rest is not. So if you do these three things, I don't think anything can harm us, or I don't think anything can go wrong. But if they go wrong, you handle it at that point in time, right? So I think that these little things, and again, it's my mom told me that you will not always be there for them, or you will not always be there to help them choose between right or wrong, or the noises or the voices between their head. But all the things that you think is noise for them, that you keep bombarding all the time, if that plays back in their heads at a time when their brain is making a decision between the right and the wrong, or the evil and the fair, if that voice plays back, you've done parenting right. And I just feel that the next morning she woke up and she said, Mom, you're right, I need to start exercising, let's do it. And I was like, okay, it's kind of coming back a full circle.
Gosh, I feel we can talk forever and ever and ever. But I had one question for you on your journey as an entrepreneur. Was it challenging? And if so, can you share a little bit about that?
It's as a journey as an entrepreneur is always challenging, right? Because I think you have so many ideas and you worry that there are only 24 hours in a day, and there's always so much to do for us, right? So I'll tell you, the challenges for me have been, earlier on, it would be time, like, because my kids were really young. So how do you strike that balance and tackle that guilt? Then I realized that I'm going to delete this word called guilt. And I just told myself, and this is how I internalized it, I told myself, I don't have 2 children, I have 3 children. So if I'm giving priority to the other child, it's not feeling guilty. It's about figuring out the rest of the days, how can I prioritize the other 2 children, right? So I got rid of that. And it was work. It's been work for the last 7, 8 years of building KidsStopPress. Challenges of building a team, challenges of, there were times when I did make a wrong hire. The environment got so toxic. It sapped so much of my energy as an entrepreneur. And as entrepreneurs, we always feel like, shit, if I let go of this person, will I be able to do without them? Trust me, and I really wish somebody told me this way back when I was in that moment, that let go of that person. An entrepreneur's energy is so sacred, you cannot let anybody sap that out of you. And I'm very happy that I read this book called The Hard Things of Hard Things, and I'd recommend it to every single entrepreneur out there to read it. As on a morning run, and this turmoil of the wrong hire was in my head for 6 months, 8 months. I read it. I was listening to the book when I was running, and I said, "This is it. I need to take the plunge." And and things. Once I set it in my head, it all happened. Time is of a huge constraint. I felt like I was falling back on a lot of things. I was getting, there was just a lot of noise around me, and I couldn't prioritize things. And that's the time I think I said, I need to take a step back. I was reaching a point of burnout at some point. I said, I need to take a step back. I need to reharness my energies. I need to kind of say that, okay, I'm going to take a step back for a month, reassess situation, and say, okay, where do I go from here? And I think all of that work really, really helped. That taking that, I would not say 1 month off, but taking a step back to look at the macro picture. In the next year, we actually doubled our revenues with that 1 month that I actually pulled back. And people would find this very strange. But sometimes as entrepreneurs, we are so, we're so hooked onto that micro picture and the day to day that it's just not worth it. Also, the other thing I think is don't substitute your title as a founder to be that of a glorified clerk in the office who can do everything. Yes, you can do everything, but is it worth your time? And yes, there is when you're passionate about building something, which we are the fools that we are, you can't delegate. But that's the biggest mistake we make. So I think very important that do not confuse. Do not confuse that somebody else cannot do that very well for you. Make sure that right from the time that you are doing it, you start documenting in a way that anybody who takes on from you does it in exactly the same way or evolves it over a period of time. So I think 2 or 3 of these things have been very, very helpful. And one of the biggest practical things that I practice every single week, and I tell all entrepreneurs that I'm working or mentoring with, start batching your weeks. So what that clearly means is you do same kind of tasks together. You club them. So if I'm recording for my podcast, I try and do 3 in a day from between 2 to 5 or 2 to 6. If I'm video shooting, I do that all together. So what you're doing is when you club similar tasks together, it makes it much easier and you don't move out from one wireframe to another wireframe, right? And then I keep and all external calls, all shoots, everything is packed into that one day. And then the other days, I just keep completely free, like my Tuesdays and Thursdays, no external calls. It's only left for creativity, no shoots, no recordings, nothing, right? So what you do is you're harnessing your energies for creation and innovation that day versus doing the mundane. So I think that has really, really helped me.
I think those are excellent tips, especially organizing your calendar, the delegation bit, and also getting rid of the toxicity in your team. And even I felt the same way the first time I had made a wrong hire, and it's really sapped me of my energy. And unfortunately, I left it a little too late, and a mentor told me get rid of the entire team, which I had to do. So, but we were a small team and we could replace it. So and no one is indispensable.
Yeah,
So that's another.
absolutely, absolutely.
And so my last question is, what is the advice you would give your 16-year-old self?
Uh, no, that's a very tough one. But I think, I would just say have more fun. And I keep saying this because I think I was a very serious 16-year-old. Because my mom was a little bit, not a little bit, she is the driving force in all of our lives, right? And she just said that there's just no time to waste. Assume there is no tomorrow. These were my mom's words. And it's like a sticker on my head right now. Assume there is no tomorrow. And she made us work for that moment, Elsa. And I felt like I worked very hard. Though I see all of it paying off now. But I wish I had a little more fun along the way. But I think that's just about it. I think everything else that I did, or that even I'm doing now, it's just a product of who I have been over the years. So I think maybe a little more fun would have really helped along the way.
Thank you. That's great advice. One of the reasons why I have this show is also so that younger people can pick up tips from older, successful women like us. And having fun is one of the most common, pieces of advice that older selves give their younger selves. And if when I see millennials and Gen Z, they are always in a hurry to achieve success. And kind of tell them gently, slow down. I know you have ambition, which is great, but you need to also slow down, because at the end of the day, what is success? What you get at 20, you might want to change your mind at 40, and
Yeah,
you'll change your mind 20 years again. So
yeah.
it's always, life is a journey and you have to enjoy the ride. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And the other thing is also nothing is wasted. Like I know people who feel like, oh my God, those 5 years of my life was such a waste. I was like, no, every story or every page of your book is something that led to the plot today, right? Do not think it was a waste. Like I am literally a product of the many stories I've lived, and the many chapters that I have written of my life on my own, right? If I didn't do those 5 years, I wouldn't know what is not needed for me today. So I feel like every story and every page of the book is important. It's never a waste. So don't ever think that, oh my God, I wasted these 5 years of my life. No, it taught you what you don't want there. Because I think sometimes that makes it easier for us to decide. I don't know if you feel that.
Absolutely. I started my career as a flight attendant, and then, I worked my way up the ladder. And when I was working in a strategic role, my boss said to me, "Why were you ever a flight attendant? What a waste of time." And I said, actually not, because it taught you teamwork, time management, customer service, so many things, leadership, crisis management, all kinds of things. And besides, I had a lot of fun doing it. So
It kind of prepared you. I'm sure the insights you brought under the table after being a flight attendant, you wouldn't have been able to do had you not done that part of the role, right? So I think no
absolutely.
fool
So,
is
my last portfolio was Vice President Network Planning, where I planned the route network for Kingfisher. And if I didn't understand crew rosters and if I didn't understand rotations, I could not have brought the human element into that highly strategic but very mechanical, technical
Yeah,
aspect of the work. So
yeah,
that was the difference I brought in. So yeah, so nothing is wasted, nothing at all.
absolutely.
Well, anyway, thank you so much. This has been a fun conversation. I've really enjoyed talking to you this Sunday evening, and I hope people will enjoy it. I have viewers from all around the world, and maybe they're not on it now, but people always send me messages saying you bring on the most amazing people to chat. So if you have
Thank you.
recommendations, do send it to me. But thank you, Mansi. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elsa.